Good evening, everybody. It is I, Nick, Pennsylvania, and I am here as I always am with my good friend Brendan Bond. Brendan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing very well, Nick. How are you, bud?
I'm all right. I'm going to tell you what, my street is very crowded because
Hmm.
it is the annual Jeep invasion.
Oh,
So
is that this week?
there are tens of thousands of Jeeps. They are patrolling the neighborhood right now, and I'm 2 blocks off Main Street, but also somewhat automotively related. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
send you a photo because today
Okay.
I'm going to be away all next week. I had to
Yeah.
get my new driver's license because my old one expires in the middle of next week, and I
Okay.
managed to remember.
Right.
I was able to get
So
it
that was
done in
smart of
time.
you. Yeah.
There are 8 years separating these photos. I would like
Oh my
to get your
God.
impression. What do you
So if
see?
so if someone was like, which one is even like the newer one, it would almost be hard to it would almost be hard to tell. Um,
I was like, wow, that is
yeah,
really
like
consistent.
yeah, if someone was like, I mean, it's kind of a bit of a lizard person thing right there. Like if someone's like, "Oh, like this guy clearly isn't aging." It's like when they pull a photo up, like, "Oh, this is from 60 years ago," and so someone's like, "Oh, it can't be." Like,
Yeah, and now
um,
do not be confused. To
yeah,
Brendan's statements fool you that I am like a good looking guy or anything like that, or like
just
I look like well
consistent. Like,
maintained.
just
I'm just That's it.
yeah.
That's it
Well,
exactly.
yeah, like
My
yeah,
daughter
like
said
yeah.
my daughter said my eyebrows look more sad in the newer
Oh,
photo, which is the top one. I
right,
look
yeah. It's
skinny
but
and
it's
sad.
well, such is the state of the world. We're all a little skinny and sad right now, I guess. But like, uh, um, but it is
Apparently
funny.
the
Like my
eyebrows on the older one exude
yeah,
confidence.
right. Yeah, you're a little more. It's like, oh, this guy's up to something. It is funny how like I was wearing this. Me and you wear similar glasses in our photos, and it's funny. I wore these glasses in my one from like eight. It was getting 8 years ago because of COVID. Like, so I didn't get one
Right.
last time around. You probably as well. It looks
That's
like I.
exactly what
It looks
happened.
like I de-aged. Like in mine, like my current one, I look significantly younger than my one 8 years ago.
Oh, you're
I'll
Benjamin Buttoning it.
yeah, I'll have to show it to you sometime. And again, it's not because I it's not because I look any better, but like it's it's like oh just photos don't tell the whole story. But which is a funny segue. Photos don't tell the whole story.
Yeah, because you've got a story now, and
Yes.
you teased me with this. We've had a week away because it's just been busy. I'm going to be away all next week, so I don't know if you have anything in the hopper, as the
I
kids
do.
say.
Yep.
Brilliant, fantastic. I look forward to listening. But we had a really great interview last time around, which
Yes.
I really Miss Susan, boy, what a fun time. I was having some internet issues which were very frustrating, so you might not hear me quite as frequently in there, but I really can't wait to talk to her again, and I've ordered a couple of her books. What a
Yes.
treat. Real
Yeah.
fun. I'm super glad you turned me on to her because yeah, she was just really wonderful to listen to and to ask questions of.
Yeah, and it's like not only is she just like really fun to talk to and has a great attitude towards like the paranormal and folklore and research and history and everything. Like we always say, anytime someone is willing to like really dig into an area in like a specific manner, like looking at just the four western counties in in Maryland,
Yeah.
like we always like small like people who other folks who appreciate those like small research areas.
We
And
talk about Tim Renner, who we've interviewed
right.
before, and of course, he came on both of our radar because of his going into the folklore of a three-county area
Yeah.
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then he outdoes himself by writing the whole book on just the bridges and the lore surrounding the
Yeah.
bridges in the
Just in
immediate
Gettysburg.
area of
Yeah.
Gettysburg. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. So yeah, we're a big fan of that approach.
But
And
so you were telling me though, almost right after that, that something weird happened with you while you were out on a
yes.
hike, and
Yeah.
I haven't heard word one beyond that. So I've been
Yeah.
waiting to hear this from you. We tried to get together earlier, but it's been crazy.
Yeah. We've had a busy few weeks in the interim. but yeah, the reason I wanted to, this is one of those stories where I don't like, I feel like for as much weird stuff happens to me, I don't have that many story worthy things happen to me. And this could be, we'll see what people think about this one. But it was weird enough and it had enough other folks with me that I'm like, okay, I need to like talk about this and just kind of get your opinion. Maybe we can talk about some possible context
And I'm
around
glad
it.
there were other people with you too, because usually you're out by yourself. I mean,
Right.
there's your famous bear incident where you were
Mm-hmm.
alone on the water. And
Up in Wolf
I
Creek.
mean, the
Yep.
closest thing that's happened when I've been there is when there was that explosion.
Oh
Remember, we
yeah.
were recording
Mm-hmm.
this and there was
Mm-hmm.
an explosion right outside your door, it
Yeah, I've
sounded
had some.
like.
Yeah, that's the. Ugh, yeah, some. We haven't had any of the weird explosions in a while, thankfully. Like knock on wood, because those scare me. But yeah, no, I do have lots of weird stuff happen, but it's usually like small stuff. So that's why this was one of those things where I thought it'd be a good, thought it'd at least make for good conversation. So where I'm talking about here is I was at a place called Beechwood Farms. Have you ever been to Beechwood by chance?
I've been to the Beechwood area before, yes, but I don't think I'm familiar with Beechwood Farms, no.
Okay, so it's a I'm not sure who technically runs it. I can't remember if it's it's either Western PA Conservancy owns it and then it's run by the Western PA Audubon Society or vice versa. It's directly southeast of Heartwood Acres, which is pretty well known in the area
Right.
for
I
lots
always
of
hear
reasons.
adverts on KDK for different concerts and
Yeah,
whatnot.
really, really cool areas. I think technically Beechwood Farms is technically in Fox Chapel, whereas Harwood Acres is technically in Hampton, maybe. But so these are areas that are very close to Pittsburgh. You're
Right.
like,
Just north of Pittsburgh.
yeah, like you're like within 15 minutes in most directions, you're in the city. But with where you're at, because of how Pittsburgh is laid out, you can be somewhere where you might be a mile or two from roads, so you can kind of be like a little bit out in the middle of nowhere, but at the same time, you can be places that feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're 300 yards from a housing development.
Absolutely.
And that sounds like a bad thing, but I think it's a really great thing because people can get a kind of like not wilderness experience, but you can feel like you're out there. Um,
It is one of the cities that has more trees, and it's partially because of the topography. We have
right.
the whole hillsides, and if you ever see those lists or videos where people go to the steepest streets in the country,
Hmm.
we have in the region, not
Hmm.
just Pittsburgh, just but in the region, a good deal of them. So they have developed on places, especially being in the snow belt, that
Right.
I wouldn't advise anybody to do, but part of the
Right.
byproduct of that is we do have these green spaces really in the
Hmm.
thick of it all.
Right, right. And a lot of that too is because of I think we have a relatively for how Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania has mistreated its natural resources. There is also a long history of people trying to conserve things.
Well, Rachel
Rachel
Carson,
Carson, right.
right out of
Um,
the first name that comes
mhm,
out of.
right, right. So like, and this I don't think the Rachel Carson Trail goes through Beechwood Acres, or Beechwood Farms, but it's close. But so this is a really nice natural area, and Beechwood Farms is great because it has like they do rehabs of like birds there and everything. There's a lot of learning facilities. They do lots of like talks and everything. There's a little native plant shop and everything. Really solid gift shop if you're like me and like picking up stickers and things like that. But it's a really great place. But I say that to kind of give everyone context for the story because this is not because there are places that me and Nick go where we are pretty out in the middle of nowhere. We do go places
Yeah.
where we're out there. This is not one of them. So this is not the kind of place that is either, it's not remote by any stretch, even though it feels kind of nice in that sense. But so I was there hiking with a few friends, and this was back on the 25th of last month. So I met up there in the morning and everything just to go for a hike. And there is five of us. Wait, one, two, three. Yeah, five, yeah, five of us. Um, and like Nick mentioned, normally when I go hiking, I'm usually hiking either by myself or maybe with one or two other people. Like I do run into some weird things when I'm hiking, but I'm actually honestly always surprised at how little weird stuff I run into, considering how I'm into these things. Um,
Well, and some of the more remote places you
right,
go, and
right, yeah. But I really, I mean, all things being equal, whenever I'm just straight up hiking, I don't really run into weird stuff that often. So that's kind of why this kind of stood out too. So to give you guys a setting, we're like, and I'll link a map and everything so everyone can kind of see where I'm talking about. But we're heading up what is called the Spring Hollow Trail, that kind of is going kind of north from like the visitor center there. We're heading up this trail trying to get to this like overlook area and everything. And like I said, normally whenever I'm hiking, I'm with like one or two other people. I'm used to birding. So like I'm usually being pretty quiet. Now, me and my four friends, trying to think how to say this nicely, not being quiet.
I
We,
was waiting for you to lay into your friends,
yeah,
let all the
like,
dirt out, but
yeah, like if we, it sounded like five goblins just rolling down a trail in the woods. Like we're not being so yeah like we're not being quiet. So I say that to say to for context, because again, like there is very little chance of us sneaking up on anyone or anything in our current state. um so uh so we're heading up the trail, and as the trail kind of comes up, to give you guys kind of a setting, um the trail's kind of going slightly uphill. To the right of us, we have maybe 20-25 yards of like clear cut before a tree line that's on like our east side. About 35 yards ahead, as this is kind of like slightly going uphill, a little bit of a grade to it, the trail cuts to the right and then does a sharp like dog leg back, almost like a switchback, and then back to the right again. And this trail like is not, there are some pretty like dense trails there. This is one of like the light graveled ones.
it,
So it's like probably 3 yards wide. It's a pretty solid, solidly open trail.
where that like switchback, that
Hmm.
dog bone sort of thing is there a change in elevation there?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
why it's
there's
doing that?
it kind of goes up. Like I said, the whole thing is going slightly uphill, and the last like maybe like I don't know 5 yards of it is it's a bit of a steeper grade. Like you like again, this is a pretty easy access trail, so like uh
Gotcha.
it's being very generous to people who are not trying to strain their legs, kind of thing. And then our left side, it's very dense woods, kind of like laurels and briar and things like that. And it's pretty steep on the left-hand side, which is, I guess, to the northwest. Before that little switchback, like I said, about 35 yards ahead of us, there's like a large bush. I don't know if the bush was like, because again, I want to go back there and like really look at this area, take some photos and everything. The bush, I don't know if it was some kind of like a multiflora rose, or if it was like a, I don't know what it was. It was something that had small flowers on it. So there's this bush, and like I said, we're walking up walking up this trail, and I saw something with long white hair. It was furry, going behind the left. Well, I guess going to the left from the right, going behind the bush. Now, you know how your brain will like just kind of like clock what something is? Like you see something, your brain goes, "Oh,
Sure.
that's what this is."
Even if it's not accurate in that
Right,
moment, you get an
right.
idea like that might have been a grouse or maybe it was a
Yeah.
turkey, but you have a ballpark
Yeah,
thing. That's a bird.
yeah. I wasn't like, oh, what is that? My brain immediately went to, oh, that is a white German Shepherd. And the reason I think my brain went there first is I do have an uncle who used to have a white German Shepherd. Her name was Savannah, great dog. But that's just like what my head thought. I'm like, oh, that's a white German Shepherd. Like that's what it looked
I'm
like.
following you.
Yeah. Um,
And even
and
if it's not, it's a dog of some sort.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, but that's what my brain interpreted. And it goes to the left, and so it goes like behind this bush, and I am thinking, oh, because you're not supposed to even have animals up there, but I thought it was someone who had their dog like off leash kind of thing, which again
Right.
is
You're
not
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. This person's a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a cowboy, maybe. But again, I'm just excited because I'm probably gonna get a pet a dog here in 30 yards. So like things are looking up. But so I'm expecting to see the dog end up on the other side of the bush, and nothing comes out the other side. And take a few more steps, and I'm looking and I'm like, where the heck is this dog? And I start to kind of like listen to see if it's like running back to like its owner or something, like up the hill where I can't see maybe or something, like straight back, but nothing. And so I turn to everyone else and I say, did you guys see that dog? And everyone's like, what dog? And I'm like, that white dog that just went behind that bush. And everyone's like, what are you talking? Like no one saw the dog.
So again, even if you're not accurate,
Mm-hmm.
that's still you have misidentified a fairly big animal.
Right. So, yeah, because yeah, it was yeah, like I thought it was going to be like a like a white German Shepherd size dog. Like that's the size it was because it was like longer white hair and everything.
Yeah.
Um, like not
Not quite as big as a deer, which
right,
could conceivably be there,
hmm
but a young deer. But
right,
the bottom line is, it's not like a rabbit
right,
where everybody could have, but you could have missed it.
right. Because we were all like, well, yeah, we're not that far at this point now. By the time I'm starting to get like confused by this, we're probably at this point maybe 20 yards away. Because again, we're just kind of like tramping up
Yeah.
this trail. And I realize I'm like, no one else saw this dog, again, I'm still thinking this is a dog. So I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna see this dog. You know, when I get around when we get around this bush, we get up there, and there's nothing to be found. And I'm like, okay, well maybe it went back to the left, kind of thing. And there's like it was so thick on the left hand side there. I can't imagine like a normal sized dog like that getting through there in that period of time without making some noise,
Right.
making like it would have been like I'm sure a dog could have done it, but it wouldn't have been sly kind of thing.
Well, you're too close for
Right,
there
because
not to
we
have
would
been
have seen, yeah,
something
like
like.
where it would have left, we would have
Now,
seen kind of thing.
granted,
Yeah,
as you say, you were being a little louder.
we were being louder, yeah. But not so loud that I wouldn't have heard like a dog crashing through, you know. And at this point, I'm realizing that the dog couldn't have turned back because like I could see the top of that little like rise and everything. So it didn't leave back, it didn't leave to the right, and it didn't leave to the left. So as we're kind of getting up there and everything, I'm like, okay, there is going to be because this is like again like the kind of like the gravel and everything that like real fine gravel. I'm expecting to see like dog prints because I'm like
Yes.
the only option is this thing tore off and we just couldn't hear it and it's gonna be like right there kind of thing.
Well,
No,
and my question too
mhm,
is, we've had so much rain here.
right,
What are the trails like? Certainly, anywhere there's dirt, it would have
right,
left a
which
print
was in
because the weight of it.
between, right, yeah, because in between it was not like muddy, but you would have seen dog prints in it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be able to see this dog when we get up like to this bush because and at that point I realized I can see, you know, probably 60, 80 yards down the trail, and there's nothing. There's not a person coming. There's not a dog. Nothing. And so at this point, I'm stopping. I'm turning around. I'm like, nobody saw this dog, and everyone's like, no, what dog? Because again, they're upset because now they're like, what dog are we missing? You know,
Right.
because
It's what
they
dog.
want,
They
yeah,
were as excited to pet it as you were, apparently.
all of us, yeah, they were upset at the fact that there may have been a missed dog petting experience.
That's
Like,
why we come out here,
right,
brother.
that's why we're here. So it was really strange. At that point, I realized I'm like, what the hell did I see? Because again, I don't like that's my brain thought. I was like, this is a dog.
You're still registering dog. Now your friends are out there. They're looking for it too because, again, it's not like you're claiming to have seen anything spectacular.
No, no. So I'm confused and everything, and I'm like, you know, started wondering what the heck did I see? And so at that point, you start like kind of like questioning yourself. You're like, well, what did I see? I'm like, did I see another white animal? And it just was like, was it smaller? And I'm thinking at that exact time, and I'm like, no, like that's like what I saw. Like I saw what looked like the back half of like a dog. You know, like longish white hair. I didn't see a tail, but it was enough movement that it looked like the backside of a dog, like the back quarter. So so I'm confused and everything. And but no one else is freaked out or no one else is worried or anything. Um, so we keep going and everything. One of the things that's weird about this is I start to then wonder, is this like, was this like a paranormal experience? And I'm thinking about like just how I feel about the area and the the last few minutes and everything. Nothing felt weird or off or spooky or like as someone who is so like vibe oriented with things, nothing felt weird. I felt way more weird at other places that didn't have anything like this happen.
Well,
So
and again, what made you go to the paranormal aspect of it right away? Just because it was so thoroughly no sign?
visible, just because there was no sign, and I was like, I was so, and the fact that nobody else saw it, like, because we're all facing the same direction. Granted, like we're all like chit chatting and stuff, but we're all like, they all should have seen it, but no one did,
Gotcha.
you know,
Gotcha.
which makes me think it was just me who saw this thing. So yeah, it was just a very strange experience, and it kind of like it kind of bugged me because I was just like, what in the world did I see? And again, because it didn't feel weird, I wasn't really giving much thought to it being like something like paranormal, you know?
Well, and
Um,
another follow-up question
mhm.
is how long would you say you saw it for? Just a matter of like a second, a
I would say
couple seconds?
like under a second,
Okay.
like half a second. It just caught enough of my attention that it was, yeah, maybe the old one Mississippi, like it
Right.
wasn't like not long enough that I could get a good look at it, but enough
And
that
you
my
had good sleep.
right, yeah, but not enough that my like long enough that my brain could be like, oh, that's a white dog, um,
Right. And again, I brought up the sleep thing just because I
mm-hmm,
know because I've been sleep
mm-hmm.
deprived quite a bit,
Oh, for sure.
and I'll get sometimes some auditory
Mm-hmm.
hallucinations, but it's not like a common thing. I mean, it's not like,
Right.
oh, I'm in the woods and I think I see a dog. That
Right,
is not a
right.
weird experience, but like I'm in a building by
Yeah.
myself and I hear someone shout my name.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
different.
Right. Yeah. And so it was very strange. So the next day, no, excuse me, the Tuesday after, because I think, yeah, it was a Tuesday after. What I ended up doing was calling the the assistant or the volunteer, whoever answers the phones at Beechwood Farms. Because what I wanted to do was ask them, because as I was thinking about it more and more, I was like, is it possible that I saw an albino deer? And it was just like the angle was a little weird, and I thought the
Yeah.
hair was longer, like, because like that's the only thing I think of that was big enough, because like we don't,
That
yeah.
that makes good sense because even earlier I said like, oh,
Hmm.
the type of dog, the German Shepherd,
Hmm.
that's a big dog. It's
It's a
not
bigger
quite as big as
dog.
a full-size deer, but a younger deer. And
Right.
around here, of course, albino deer, people kind of keep track of them because, as you recall,
Right.
maybe 20 years ago there was that one in Slippery Rock, and we'd seen
Hmm.
multiple times.
Right. Yeah. So they're not unheard of, but usually people are aware that they're around, like just like you mentioned. That's why I thought, okay, well, if I call, like maybe I just literally misremember. Like even at the time, I just my brain didn't process properly what I was looking at. Um, which is like not unreasonable, I don't think. So I called and I asked them, and I asked this lady, her name was Dana, something like that. Yeah, Dana. I asked her, I'm like, hey, by any chance, I was clear. I was like, hey, I was down there on the 25th with some friends. We were hiking. I'm like, I think I saw an albino deer. Has any of the like biologists or anyone out there reported seeing one recently? Because that would be something that they would, probably be, talking about. And she was like, "Oh, she's like, that's pretty exciting." She's like, "We haven't had one of those around here in a long time, but let me ask." And she goes and she's off the phone for a little bit and comes back and she says, "No, I asked three of the biologists here, and no one has reported an albino deer in a few years around here." She's like, "Yeah, it's possible," but she's like, "I feel like," but what she said was, "I feel like we would have heard about it." if it was hanging around here.
Right, with all the people
Or in
coming
the
in and
yeah, a
with there
lot of
being
traffic.
there.
Right, a lot of traffic in the area. Like foot traffic and just people, paying attention people paying attention in nature. And it was funny because I asked her when I asked her about the albino deer, I'm like, well, because I know they are around, and she responded by saying, it's almost like seeing Bigfoot. It's so rare. And at that
Oh.
point, I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. Like,
Oh no. Oh,
so
what did you ask?
so all I asked is I was very respectful about it. I was just like, oh, that's fine. I'm like, just out of curiosity, has anyone ever reported anything weird around there? Not saying
I'm
Bigfoot
glad you
specifically,
didn't go
but
to Bigfoot because
no,
she
I
opened
was
that
just
door and you're
yeah,
like,
no,
here's
she
my
did. No,
angle.
I'm trying to be I really try and be respectful. Doesn't always I try and be I'm trying not to be too weird. I let them be weird first. But
Yeah.
uh but so I asked her, she's like, no, she's like, I'm just a volunteer. She's like, I'm just a volunteer here and everything. She's like, I've never heard of anything too unusual being seen around here.
So she says, I'm just a volunteer. I'm not seeing
Hmm.
anything really unusual.
Right.
But because she's there with the other people, does she like go like, hey, Carl, Amanda?
You seen anything weird? No, she didn't ask anybody, but I'm going to use that as my in next time I go down there. I'm going to just ask around a little bit. Because again, it's funny because again, the place didn't feel weird at all, but we hear that all the time in Bigfoot reports where people think that they're only happening out in the middle of nowhere, or ghost reports where it's like you have people that are going to places all the time, and are they bringing energy with them or bringing things out? Like it's so
Well,
the place is ripe for stories.
well,
So
and funny enough, you bring that up. And I remember some time ago, you had looked into Bigfoot sightings that were in our
hmm.
county.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, come on.
Hmm.
And there was one in particular that was in this general area. It was in the Shaler area, if I'm not mistaken.
There was
And
actually two. Hmm.
right, that's it.
Hmm.
And again, this
I'm
is
not
not
saying I
a
saw
rural
Bigfoot.
area.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not even saying I saw Bigfoot. It's just like weird, just kind of
No, I
as
have
the
not accused you. You
yeah,
you were saying
yeah.
you saw a dog.
Right. I was saying, yeah, that's right. That's what I saw. I'm just using Bigfoot as like the analog for just like weird out of place creatures.
Now,
Um,
I will say,
hmm.
I disagree with this volunteer. It's not quite like seeing Bigfoot because I've seen
Right.
multiple albino deer in my
Right.
life.
Precisely. Yeah.
Right.
Same.
And there was an albino squirrel that lived here, as you may
Right.
recall. We named her
Yeah.
Daphne. Haven't seen her in a
Hmm.
couple years since she's passed on. But yeah, so I maybe that's what you saw. And despite their hooves and everything, deer can move pretty quietly
Right.
and
Oh,
pretty
for sure.
quickly.
Yeah. When they want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think you definitely saw something. That or you
yeah.
had one of those weird optical moments. And that's not too crazy either, where you just caught a glimpse of something and it's your brain just like filling in those
Filling
gaps.
in something. Right. Yeah. Because it's like that's why like I took notes when I got home, both in my little like journal and also like on our dock here and everything, because I wanted to like get it down while it was fresh, you
Yeah.
know.
And you were right to do so.
Right.
And I would say this. I always go back to the Dr. Michael Shermer thing. Like
Hmm.
we have been honed into these pattern seeking machines. It's part of,
Right.
we are the inheritors of those who survived
Hmm.
by, recognizing patterns and the precautionary measures that were
Hmm.
taken as
Hmm.
result of such. So you looked into it, you looked for prints. Mark Twain's ridicule of Nathaniel Hawthorne was that there was always a broken twig somewhere. There was always fur
Right.
somewhere. There's not always.
Yeah. Right.
But had you seen, let me ask you this, if you had seen like an animal print, especially
Hmm.
that more like a dog or something, would you just been like, boy, that guy just got out of here
Yeah, if
fast?
if there would have been a dog print that I could have seen, I would have been
Yeah.
like, I had to have seen a dog, and it had to have just exited in a way that just at the right angle where none of us could see it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Because again, it couldn't have gone to the left because everyone would have seen it come out the left side of the bush. And if it would have had to really be hightailing and kicking up a lot of dirt to get away from us straight. So,
So let me throw this out at
yeah.
you. What
hmm
if it was a bird? What if it was a larger bird, like somewhat larger bird,
hmm
or just a lighter color bird that took off in such a way where you didn't have a full image of it,
hmm
but you caught some of it and your brain filled in the space?
Yeah, it's not impossible. I was thinking about like I was looking to see if there was any turkey farms nearby because like
Hmm.
because you have like white turkeys and there aren't any nearby, but I mean it in theory could have been a larger white bird. Again, I do believe that I saw
Right.
fur,
You
but
definitely saw
maybe I didn't.
something.
Yeah, but maybe again like maybe I was wrong.
And it was so quick.
Right.
You
Yeah, because it was
saw
like it was
something
only like a
whitish.
second. Yeah.
You saw something whitish. You saw clear
hmm
movement. A
Right.
bird would be an easy thing
Right.
to mistake in that moment. And again, with the movement combined with the
hmm
duration,
Right.
it's not like you were saying I was staring at this thing for maybe 4 or 5
No.
seconds.
No.
So,
Yeah.
all we know for sure is if it was a bird, it was not a grouse because
Right. Well, and that's
you
the
would
thing.
have heard.
You would have right. Right. Yeah, we would have heard it. And again, all of us in the group are birders. So if it would have been like again, like I was just like that's like the thing that I keep coming back to. I'm like, how in the world did no one else see this? Because like let's say hypothetically it was a bird and I just got it wrong. Like everyone
Right.
else would have keyed in on that. Like we're as birders, you train yourself to see that kind of movement and everything, and it catches your attention. And
Yeah.
um, so it was weird that nobody else saw anything and no one else thought it was weird. So I was just like, guys, like, come on. No one else saw this
I would have
dog?
thought it was weird that I didn't see something and you were so
Yeah.
insistent.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I would
I
have
would have
put
thought that
so
was weird.
much I would have put so much money on it. Like like if someone had been like, like pop quiz, what'd you just see? I'm like, I'll take like
Dog.
I saw the back end of a white dog. That's what I saw. But I clearly couldn't
Yeah.
have because there's no dog there. So what was it? But again, like no weird vibes accompanying it or anything, or anything else. So it was like if it was let's say hypothetically it was a paranormal experience. It's funny because it didn't feel weird at all. It was a
Hmm.
very mundane in that sense. So it was just yeah,
That would have
it was
bugged
just
me.
it did. That's why I called them. Like, I was very self-conscious about calling them 2 days later because I was like, I don't want to be a weird person. But also it was bugging me because I'm like, I really hope these people just tell me, oh yeah, there's an albino deer walking around. Like, cool, great,
Yeah.
done. That's
That I
it.
can write it off as
Yeah,
that.
right, exactly. But that
Here's the
doesn't seem to
problem.
be, yeah.
Here's the problem. And this
What's the
is the
problem?
thing that you'll never be satisfied because it's impossible. Because even if
Yeah.
they said, yes, we have an albino deer, it's been spotted a few times,
hmm
you can never be certain that's what you saw. You could just say, well, you know
Yeah.
what? That seems really reasonable
That seems
and really likely
very
that that's what I saw.
right, right.
That's all
And
you can
so
do.
yeah, and it's yeah, so I thought it was interesting. I thought you would appreciate the story,
I do.
and I hope everyone else out there, even though it's a quickie, can relate because I think people, because like again, we say a lot with the paranormal that so much of it should seem like mundane things if it is as common as it might be, assuming it has a mechanical
Yes.
origin. Like if that is the case, here's just another example of just seeing something weird that can't really easily be explained. But very well could have a mundane. I'm very open to it having a mundane explanation because that'd be far less weird. But if you out there have seen something strange, whether it's on the edge of being mundane or paranormal, we would love to hear about it. And if you'd like to share that with us, you can reach out to us on YouTube or Instagram, or you can just send us an email at theghostfurnacepodcast@gmail.com.